The night the wolf chose a different path, the forest was quieter than usual. In the deep pine woods, under a pale silver moon, a young wolf named Rian walked with his pack. Their paws made soft sounds on the dry leaves as they moved in a tight line between the trees. The older wolves spoke about hunting, about strength, about never showing weakness. Rian listened, his ears turning toward their voices, but his heart felt heavy. He had been raised to believe that a wolf must always be feared. A wolf must answer insult with teeth, challenge with anger, and pain with more pain. "This is the way of the forest," the leader said. "If you are soft, you will not survive." The others nodded and growled their agreement. Rian, however, remembered different moments. He remembered a time, as a small pup, when he had fallen into a cold stream. While he coughed and shook, an older wolf had gently nudged him to the bank, staying close until he stopped trembling. No one had spoken about it later. It was as if kindness were a secret that had to be hidden under harder stories. As Rian grew, he saw both sides of the forest. He saw wolves stealing food from each other and fighting until blood stained the snow. He also saw quiet acts that no one praised. A mother sharing her last piece of meat, an old wolf licking the wounds of a friend. A pup trying to stand between two brothers before they tore each other apart. These small flashes did not fit the loud, proud words of the leader. One cold evening, the pack picked up the scent of a wounded deer. The trail led them to a clearing where the animal stood on 3 legs, one ankle twisted badly. Its eyes were wild with fear. The leader's lips pulled back in a satisfied snarl. "Easy prey," he said, lowering his body to attack. But Rian saw something else. He saw that the deer was very thin. Its ribs showed through its fur. It had probably been struggling long before tonight. Han thought about how many times he had eaten well while other creatures went hungry. A strange feeling rose in his chest, something like shame and something like understanding. The leader gave the signal, and the wolves began to circle. The deer shook and tried to stand taller, but its injured leg could not hold the weight. Rian moved with the others, but his paws felt heavy. His breath came fast, not from excitement, but from confusion. Then, from the edge of the clearing, Rian noticed a small shape. A young fawn stood half hidden among the trees, legs trembling, eyes huge. It watched its parent with helpless terror. Rian's heart squeezed. He imagined what the forest would sound like for that little one if tonight ended in blood. He also knew what would happen to him if he hesitated. Wolves who questioned the leader were not welcomed for long. "Rian," the leader snapped. To the left. The young wolf's body moved, but his mind stood on a narrow bridge between 2 worlds. On one side was the path he had always known, built from fear and tradition. On the other was a path he could not fully see yet, one that did not require him to become blind to other hearts. In that moment, the deer's injured leg buckled. It fell to its knees, breathing in hard, uneven gasps. The pack moved closer. Rian stepped between them. It happened before he could think. His body simply turned and stood in front of the fallen animal, facing his own leader. The forest held its breath. No wolf did this. No wolf blocked his pack. "What are you doing?" the leader growled, voice low and dangerous. Rian's legs shook, but he kept his head lifted. "We have hunted well this week," he said quietly. "There are other paths, other prey. This one has a fawn." The leader's eyes burned. "You are weak," he spat. "Move, or I will treat you like the prey." Around them, the pack shifted uncertainly. Some wolves lowered their ears, not daring to look at either of them. Others narrowed their eyes at Rian, confused and angry. The young wolf felt fear press against his ribs. He could step aside and save himself. The deer would die, the fawn would cry, and the forest would return to its old rules. Or he could stay where he was and accept whatever came. He remembered the stream, the gentle nudge that had saved him. He remembered the quiet acts that had comforted others without applause. Perhaps, he thought, survival was not only about teeth. Perhaps it was also about what kind of heart he wanted to carry inside his chest. "I will not move," Rian said softly. "Not tonight." The leader lunged forward, teeth bared, stopping just inches from Rian's face. For a long moment, they stared at each other. The air felt sharp, as if it might break. Then, surprisingly, the leader stepped back with a disgusted snort. "Let the coward keep his pet," he growled. "We will hunt elsewhere." One by one, the wolves followed him into the dark trees. Some glared at Rian, some gave him a long, unreadable look. Soon, only Rian, the injured deer, and the small fawn remained in the clearing. Rian stepped aside, giving space. The deer struggled up, leaning heavily on its good leg. It looked at him with exhausted eyes that held no words, only a deep, quiet recognition. Then it limped away toward the trees, the fawn quickly joining its side. Together they disappeared into the shadows. The young wolf stood alone under the cold moon. He knew that things would not be easy now. The pack would talk. Some might never trust him again. But inside, a new steadiness grew. He had discovered a different kind of strength, one that did not need to crush others in order to stand tall. If you have ever felt pressure to follow a path that does not feel right in your heart, remember, Rian, courage is not only in fighting. Sometimes it is in stepping between harm and the helpless and saying quietly, "Not tonight." If this story gave you a different idea of strength, please follow and subscribe for more gentle English stories.